Hello, I'm Sasha of Sasha Makes Cards, and welcome to this month's YouTube hop for our Cherry on Top crafts. Now, the theme for this month's hop is flowers, so I'm doing something quite different from what I usually do. Normally, I make cards. I have made some tags. I've done some other things like that involve mixed media. However, for this month's hop, I am doing some watercolor. Now, I have mentioned before that I've been really wanting to learn watercolor, try out watercolor. I remember in my first YouTube hop video I did for a Cherry on Top when I first joined the design team, the theme for that month was try something new, I think it was, or something along the lines of that. And I did watercolor. However, it wasn't actual watercolors, it was with Distress Oxide inks. So I thought it was finally time I do some watercolor. And I was browsing the Cherry on Top Crafts website, and then I was looking at the Altenew stuff, and Altenew has so many nice stamp sets. They have tons of flowers. That's kind of where I first went when I was figuring out what I was going to make for this month's hop, was I went to Altenew's products. There are so many nice floral stamp sets. And then one thing led to another, and then I ended up having a whole watercolor set and sketchbook in my cart, and I checked out. So this month's hop I'm using, the watercolor, and I am making a little watercolor drawing sketch. I don't know what you would call that. You could easily make this into a card. However, I just wanted to keep it simple. And I had a lot of fun doing this. This is the first time I've played with watercolor in quite some time. So there was a lot of trial and error, mostly error, but I think in the end, I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out. Now, I'm using the Cascading Flowers stamp set, the 36 pan watercolor set, as well as the 4x6 Luxe watercolor sketchbook. All of the supplies I'm using are from Altenew. They have their Altenew Artistry line, which features a lot of watercolor and things like that. So the sketchbook I'm using is from the Artistry line. It is 64 pages of cold pressed watercolor paper. It was so nice to work with. Now again, I haven't done much watercolor, so I don't have much to base it off of. I don't have much experience, but it was really nice paper. I did keep flipping the paper back and forth just to see how it was holding up, because most of the time when I'm doing mixed media stuff, I just use plain cardstock and it doesn't always hold up that well. So when I actually use supplies that are meant for what I'm using, it's nice. Whenever I'm playing around with any kind of new art medium or craft medium, whatever it is, honestly, just with most things in life, I like to kind of struggle my way through it, is what I like to say. I don't really like watching instructional videos. If I do, I tend to just skip forward. So it shows here. I hadn't watched any kind of videos or read any books or anything about different techniques on watercolor. I very much just struggled my way through it, but at least I had fun while struggling. So lots of what I'm doing is probably kind of wrong. If you've done a lot of watercoloring, I'm sorry. But that's the nice thing I kind of like with, at least what I can tell, with watercoloring. It seems quite forgiving. Normally, I usually color with alcohol markers, and alcohol markers aren't very forgiving. Once the color's there, it's there. However, with watercolor, you can kind of, it feels like you can kind of erase it, which is, you're not really erasing it, but you can remove the pigment with water or dab it off with paper towel. So at least with what I was doing here, it felt a little bit more forgiving than, say, what I'm used to. Because there are plenty of times while I was doing this little sketch that I would put down some color and then realize I didn't like it. For example, when I was doing the centers of the flowers, I put down some brown watercolor paint. However, I decided I didn't like it, so I just kind of removed it. And it kind of worked out. Now, of course, you've already seen it in the video, but to do this little project, I chose one of the floral stamp sets from the stamp set that I already mentioned, put it onto an acrylic stamping block, and then I used the Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink to stamp it into the sketchbook. At first, I wasn't sure if this ink would be good for watercolor because, again, I've only ever used it for alcohol marker coloring. So I did a little test. It seemed to be fine. I don't know if it's the best ink, but it worked for what I was doing, so I stamped it into the sketchbook. The one image didn't stamp fully. The acrylic block I was using was a bit too small. I don't think I have any larger ones, so I was just working with what I had, but I think it worked out in the end. I kind of made it look more, I don't know how to say, like, not distressed, but I think it matches the look of the final project. Is all I'm gonna say. But after I'd started the watercoloring, I ended up getting some of the paint outside the lines. So at one point, I just decided to cover the whole background in water, add the color, yellow, blue, pink, purple. I was just adding a bunch of colors. And then once everything had fully dried, I then stamped on a sentiment because I wanted to fill the space up a bit. However, I'm not very good at stamping with the acrylic blocks, so it didn't come out as clean as I was hoping. So I tried it again. It still wasn't very clean. So then I just decided to splatter it. The splatter will make its way into everything that I do, but I think it actually works really well for this. It kind of hides the fact that I didn't know what I was doing. Now, I've already been talking for quite a bit, so for the rest of the video, I'm just going to put some music over it, and if you would like, you can watch me struggle my way through doing some watercolor.
I don't know if I can find my way out. I'm stuck in a prison of doubt, in this tiny shell, and everything is growing up tight. There's no room to breathe, and nobody is watching at night. I wanna rise up. Need a friend to shake me out again. Need a friend to shake me out again. I don't know if I can find my way out. In this tiny shell, and everything is growing up tight. There's no room to reaching out, I'm reaching, yeah. The water is rising over me. The water is rising. It's coming. I'm reaching out, I'm reaching, yeah. The water is rising over me. The water is rising. I'm reaching. It's coming. I'm reaching. The water is rising over me. I'm reaching out. I'm reaching. It's coming in. The water is rising over me. I'm reaching out. I'm reaching. It's coming.
And that is my completed project. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the description for a complete list of all the design team members participating in this hop, and to hop along for a chance to win a $25 gift card to shop at a Cherry on Top Crafts. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.